Jonah chapter 2, Jonah's prayer. Then Jonah prayed to the Lord his God from the stomach of the fish. And he said, I called out of my distress to the Lord, and he answered me. I called for help from the depth of Sheol. You heard my voice. For you threw me into the deep, into the heart of the seas, and the current flowed around me. All your breakers and waves passed over me. So I said, I have been cast out of your sight. Nevertheless, I will look again toward your holy temple. Water encompassed me to the point of death. The deep flowed around me. Seaweed was wrapped around my head. I descended to the base of the mountains. The earth with its bars was around me forever. But you have brought up my life from the pit, Lord my God. While I was fainting away, I remembered the Lord, and my prayer came to you into your holy temple. Those who are followers of worthless idols abandon their faithfulness, but I will sacrifice to you with the voice of thanksgiving. That which I have vowed, I will pay. Salvation is from the Lord. Then the Lord commanded the fish, and it vomited Jonah up onto the dry land. I don't know where you find yourself this morning. Maybe you have come into this gathering enthused and energized and grateful and feeling like you're in a good place in your relationship with Jesus. But maybe you've come into this gathering this morning and you actually relate to the front end of the prayer of Jonah in Jonah chapter 2. You feel like you're sinking in the waves, seaweed wrapped around your head, feeling as though you are inside the belly of a fish. And maybe for you, the sinking has to do with where you're at mentally. Maybe you're dealing with depression or anxiety. Maybe it has to do with your marriage where you're in a really difficult place. Maybe you've gone through the loss of a loved one and you're feeling disoriented. I don't know where you're finding yourself this morning, but the Bible tells us that no matter how deep in a pit you are, even if you're in a pit because you've been running away from God, maybe that's where you're at this morning, where there was a life that you felt God wanted for you and you ran in the other direction. And what the Bible tells us is that there's hope. That even there in the ocean as you're sinking, even there in the belly of a fish, there's the possibility of an encounter with a God who still loves you. The psalmist in Psalm 139 writes these words, where can I go from your spirit? Or where can I flee from your presence? If I ascend to heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in Sheol, behold, you are there. If I take up the wings of the dawn, if I dwell in the remotest part of the sea, even there your hand will lead me, and your right hand will take hold of me. We see this in the story of Jonah, don't we? Where Jonah cries out to God in his despair, in his distress, and God rescues him. So today is a different kind of service at Edgewater Alliance Church. If you're new, welcome. We're glad you're here. This isn't every week for us, but about 4 times a year, we like to pause And we like to strip away this service in such a way that we really make room for encounter. And we don't believe that we can like twist the arm of God to do certain things, but we can set a table and we can invite him to come, believing that he's good, believing that he loves us, believing that he's powerful, believing that he knows what each and every one of you is going through as you enter this room this morning. And so on Encounter Sundays, we actually don't have a sermon. We have an extended time of worship. And it's a time where we want to be careful to set the table, but not manipulate you. And so there's really nothing expected of you. The only ask is that you would respond in any way that you feel led. So if you kind of want a grid for that, well, here's some options. You can stay right where you're at, seated. You can sing. You can pray. You can read. You can kneel. You can stand. You can come up front at any point in the service and take communion. We would just encourage that you spend some time in prayer, preparing for that time. Another thing that we offer during our encounter services is that elders and staff and elders' wives are available to pray with you. And the Bible speaks about how you can receive prayer and be anointed with oil for healing. And maybe you're here this morning and you're like, I need to encounter God in that way. I want to be prayed for by someone. Well, throughout the whole service, that's available to you in this room and in that room. And when I leave the stage, elders, staff, please make your way to those rooms. Another thing that we're going to do this morning is we have a few people who want to be baptized. Maybe you came in this morning and you were not planning on being baptized, but you will leave having been baptized. All you need to do is come, let someone know in one of these rooms that you want to be baptized. And at the end of our service, we'll baptize you. We have clothes for you to change into. We have towels. We got you, all right? So I'm going to pray, and then I'm going to turn it over to the worship team. And the only job you have is to respond as you feel led. No pressure on you, but don't let this moment pass you by. So as we begin this time, would you just extend your arms, just hands up, and would you repeat after me one of the most simple prayers that Christians pray? Holy Spirit, come. Would you say it one more time? Holy Spirit, come. We believe he's here, but we also want to invite his presence to work in a special way. May you encounter God.